Laurie Wondra.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I was chatting with Linda, and I said, it's always uncomfortable to hear somebody else talk about you, right? And whether it's good or bad, it's uncomfortable. So thank you. Thank you. No, that's okay. There's nothing bad here because we're going to talk about what's right in the world today. That's the theme of January, and there is so much right in the world. Did anyone notice the sundogs this morning? Driving the sundogs from the sun, that cold, crisp air that creates the crystals in the air, that creates that rainbow of light that streams down. And then this morning there was like this huge arc around it. It wasn't just a downward flow, it was almost like a reverse rainbow. So I'm driving and I'm thinking, I always want to have some sort of description to share with people what I see. So when I'm looking at you, I see your faces, I see what you're wearing, but I'm really seeing your light. And that rainbow light, that's what I see. So if you ever see those sundogs or you see the rainbow light, that's what our light looks like. We have this amazing light that comes out and is emitted from us, okay? That's what's right with us. And today we're going to talk about what's right in the world. As Linda said, I'm a shaman, but I'm also a channel. I work with the Ascended Masters, the angels, the shaman that want to come through. So as much as I have this stuff, they come in and kind of tell me what I'm going to talk about. I do know that they want to talk about 2016. And so if you've got questions about what's happening in 2016, we're going to talk through like some key dates, some key events, why we even experienced some of the things that we experienced in 2015. Okay. So as we go there, the human race, our beings, we are the most adaptable beings on the planet. Think about it, how much we've adapted through the years. And the University of Wisconsin, there's an anthropologist, John Hawks, that has done studies on our DNA shifts. And over the last 5,000 years, our DNA has shifted 7%. That's huge compared to the millions of years that Earth has existed, and animals and plants and those things. So we, as beings, are the most adaptable. And what that means is we have the ability to adapt to external influences. So we adapt to events in the world. We adapt to friends. We adapt internally to physical, spiritually, emotionally, things that are happening to us. And sometimes when we go through that adaptation process, we forget or we lose track of our core. We lose track of this light being, this rainbow light that just manifests out. So as part of 2016, we're really being focused on this light. We're really being focused on what's in here and beginning to really assess what this is. In order to get to that point in 2016, we had to go through a lot of junk in 2015. So many of you might say 2015 was awful. It was a really hard year. And I remember last January standing here and talking about what was 2015 going to be about, and all the hopefulness and the feeling of energy that some of us felt like this is really going to be a good year, right? Did anyone go through that? Like 2015 was going to be a really, really, really good year, and then something major happened or something along the way happened, and you're like, what happened to this really good year? It actually was a really good year, guys. Even though we might have had personal events and things that we would have chosen not to experience, it's all for adaptation. We have to experience conflict or clash in order to evolve. Let me say that one more time. We have to experience conflict or a clash in order to evolve. Otherwise, we'd stay the same, right? We wouldn't push ourselves, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't expand. And so sometimes we say, well, that experience, I didn't want that experience. Isn't there another way that I could have expanded through this, right? And sometimes there is, but it just happens to be that's the one that got us to shift, okay? So how many are practice and know about law of attraction, manifestation? Yay, lots of hands. I love to see that. 2016 and 2017, 2018, the engines of the universe are speeding up. They're going faster. And so we have the ability to manifest and to attract faster and faster and faster. And so that's one of the factors coming in 2016. So some of the things that we needed to release in 2015 were those things we no longer wanted to hold on to, or those things that were maybe holding us back along our journey. And if we realize those were the things that were holding us back, then we can be done with them. If we didn't look at them as being something that was holding us back, they're going to come back again in a different way, because that's what our evolution is about, okay? And through law of attraction, our vibration comes from how we feel about something. So as I'm standing up here and I'm looking at you, I have a feeling about you. I have a love for this group here. And then it comes through my thoughts, and then it comes through my words, and then it comes through my actions, whether I bless you, raise my hands. But it starts with a feeling. And when we start to manifest in the world, everything starts here from our light and from a feeling. So if I say, let's say I have to drive my mother to go shopping, and I say, yep, I'm really happy to drive you, Mom. I'm going to jump in the car and I'm really happy, but in here I'm feeling dread. I'm feeling, I really don't want to do this. I'll do it because I'm obligated. The feeling is what is going to go out into the universe, and that's what we're going to manifest on. So if I have a negative experience with my mom in that situation, I'm going to keep having that experience because I feel that. It has nothing to do with my words. It's how I feel. We are such powerful human beings. Our vibration is so intense that by just standing here and sending love out to you, or just standing and emitting that love, doesn't matter what my words are, you're feeling this, okay? And I'm going to pause for just a moment because, you can tell I haven't looked at these at all. They're already coming in and channeling. I want to remind everybody about the bowl that we have in front here. So early December, Cindy Claypack and Joan Brandemeyer and I did a panel, and we talked about gratitude and the high frequency of gratitude. And we put slips, so people that were here put slips of paper into this bowl about what they were there in gratitude for. And then people took home 12 slips of paper to set their intent about gratitude for the next 12 days. So how many of you were here at that service maybe? Your slips are still in here. Tonight, it's actually a new moon right now, so I'm going to take these slips and burn them in a ceremony tonight to send them up to the heavens in gratitude. So if you did not have a chance or would still like to put a slip of paper in the bowl before you leave today, there's pens and paper below, and just stick it in the bowl, and that will come home with me today. All right? And as always, as I speak, I open the room up to any questions. Linda's got a microphone, so if you have questions as we go, please raise your hand, and we will get the microphone to you and ask your questions. Okay. All right, so we talk about we cannot alter our surroundings without altering ourselves. Maybe think about that for a moment. We cannot alter our surroundings without altering ourselves. So everything that we do, even the fact that you're sitting in the chair today, is altering the energy. You're all called here for a purpose, for a reason. When you step out, if you watch the Vikings game today, everything is altered. Everything has a purpose. And I want to remind that as we go into these future years, 2016, 2017, 2018, we move into higher consciousness. And what higher consciousness means is I'm more aware of my light, my being, and I'm more connected. So one of the facets, or one of the directions of 2016 is being more aware of who I am as an individual, and then moving into a community that matches me as an individual. And then I bring that vibration. And as I bring that vibration, I change that environment. I change that energy that's in that room, okay? How many of you have noticed their life is just exponentially ramped up since January 1st? Has anybody experienced that? Yay, right? Yay! And maybe some of that energy was not comfortable. I just want to take a check. Did anyone experience some uncomfortableness in that ramp-up energy? Okay. That's to get us to shift. And as you feel that uncomfortableness, go back to the I am, notice how you feel about it. That's the point that you can change how you feel about it. If you're feeling uncomfortable and you stay in that place of uncomfortableness, and then you go onto Facebook and you talk about how uncomfortable I am, then you go out and you blog about it, then you call your friends and you talk about how uncomfortable you are, and a week later you're still talking about it, you're journaling about it, you're staying stuck in that uncomfortableness, you're staying stuck in that energy. Higher consciousness is first acknowledging the uncomfortableness, acknowledging I'm at that trigger point, I'm at this point that I can change how I look at this. And I'm choosing to acknowledge I can be uncomfortable, but I'm releasing it and I'm going forward. That's the observer. In 2016, we can also no longer always be the observer. We have to be the participant. Yay, right? There's been so much publication about just step back and observe. That's good for like a nanosecond. But now we're moving into this place of action. And that's 2016 is a year of action. The planets, I won't go into all the planets that are aligning for us, but it's a force that's pushing us. And that's what some of you have already experienced this first part of 2016, is the force of the planet saying, okay, guys, get going. You gotta get going. You have to move forward. You can no longer just look at it, dream about it, talk about it. You have to take steps. And I tell people, I love dream boards, I love vision boards, but I want them to be renamed as action boards. We have to be moving into that place of taking action. Okay, you had a question back there?
Did you notice, as a public speaker, communicator, that your abilities were heightened in early January with Mercury in Aquarius?
I'm going to repeat the question so we get it on. Did I notice that my communication was different or heightened because of the shift in energy? And yes, everything is elevated. All of our senses, our communication, we've gone through a tremendous opening of our throat chakra and in the lung area. And I say the throat chakra is actually 3 places. We have our throat, we have our upper throat, and then we have the sinus area. All 3 of those areas are open now. And that allows more information, more light to come in and then be generated out. So, yes, absolutely. As a shaman or as a channeler, I notice that there's more light beings coming in. There's more universal others. I want to say others because sometimes I don't even know who they are or what to call them just yet. They're coming in to help us. And so what we've done in our energetic forces, we've opened up the pathways, but the universe has also created those pathways. Okay. So in 2016, did I answer your question? Yeah. And that's going to continue. So we're on this like ramp, and so I tell people it's like, if you're a horse rider at all, it's like you just got on the horse and you got to kind of let the reins just kind of go. And you just go, because we're on this magical year. 2016 is also heightened in our intuition, psychic, metaphysical. Yay, how awesome is that, right? But that can also freak some people out. Like, what's happening? Why am I suddenly seeing this? Why am I experiencing this? Why am I waking up every night at 2 a.m.? That can freak us out, right? So what they want us to know is that this is part of your transformation. This is part of your evolution. It's part of a natural evolution. It's not some weird thing. I probably get 3 or 4 emails a week that say, this is what happened. Am I insane, or am I weird, or should I be committed? I'm like, no, this is great. This is beautiful. You're stepping into your natural gift of knowing. And I believe everybody has the ability to be intuitive and to use the gifts. We just get to start using them in 2016. This gets back to being in groups or being with people that support you in that space. Groups are people that support you talking about, wow, I'm experiencing this. In a place of awe, not in a place of fear. Going back to my example about blogging and Facebooking, don't go to that place of fear like, oh my God, I experienced this, something evil is happening. Don't go there. Go into that place of awe. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just experienced this. I've never experienced this before. Okay. Questions? Okay, we're through the process of deconditioning ourselves.
You had one question.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you really mean that when people wake up, let's say at 3 o'clock every single morning, that's really spirit stalking, not just a sleep problem?
Yeah.
Could you confirm that?
Some people do have sleep trouble. They do have sleep trouble. But there's a thinning of the veil between here and beyond. And so as each year progresses, that thinning continues to thin and thin and thin. And then as we work on our own evolution of intuition, we can tap into that. And we do that through waking up, that we're just waking up. We might be traveling, time traveling, information traveling outside our bodies. I'm hearing more stories of people doing that. They wake up and they are feeling like they lived an entire life or lived an entire scene in the middle of the night. We're doing a lot of work at night. It's this other dimension, interdimensional work that we're starting to learn about, agree that there is other stuff there, and then participate in that. But the waking up is going to continue for people in transition. Yeah. So last year there was a lot of material published about patterning and deconditioning. And so that also was, many of the experiences that we went through was to have us look for patterns in our life and say, I don't want to do that pattern anymore. And so it feels like many of us are through that stage of that depatterning or deconditioning. I don't even know if depatterning is a word, but we're being done with that old pattern. And now we're in that place of manifesting our new patterns. And that also can be uncomfortable for people. And sometimes the old patterns kind of try to sneak in there, but the universe is not going to allow those old patterns to stay stuck like they were in the past. So they might sneak in for a little bit, and then you'll have an event, and you'll say, oh, that's what that is. So March, April, there's a number of solar eclipses, lunar eclipses. In that time period, there's another huge energy surge between March 15th and April 21st is what they're telling me. And so it's in that time period that anything that still needs to be shaken loose is going to shake loose, okay? And if we've already released those things, it's another chance for us to elevate, another chance for us to move forward. And I marvel at the time period because I'm like, well, that's kind of at the end of the tax season and financial season for a lot of people, and that can be stressful for a lot of people. But it's also a really good opportunity to renew and to move forward into the rest of the year, okay? September is also another large time of an energy surge, and we'll have little ones, little bumps along the way, but April and September are the big surges of energy that are going to happen in 2016. Okay? 2016 is also a year about wellness, and that goes into that, who am I, who is my light, how am I treating my body, how am I handling food, exercise, nutrition, sleep even, how am I handling that? So the planets that are also aligning are helping us pay attention and really be motivated in those areas. So those of you that are in the holistic health or in yoga, massage, tapping, those types of things, it's a really good year for you guys because there's more of a need for people to step into those types of physical activities. Okay, questions on that? It's more of organic, a whole holistic. Nutrition is also going to be really good. And our bodies, because our bodies just went through this influx, this increase of energy up to the 528 hertz, which is the heart hertz. It's a vibrational frequency. We're able to absorb more light. So as more light comes into the planet, we're able to absorb it more. But we need the physical things to release it or to move. And if I go back to the studies that say that our DNA have shifted 7% over the last 5,000 years, and we're still the most highly adaptable being on Earth, we're still the most highly adaptable being on Earth. So we're going through these changes with every surge of light. And we need different tools. So some tools or practices that maybe you used in the past might not work for you. You might need to find different tools, a different yoga class, a different masseuse, a different method. So I always think about, the angels show me like a big electrician's tool belt, and I pull out those tools for certain things in my life. And we might need to add or remove some of those tools that just simply don't fit us anymore. Again, the old paradigms are gone. It's the new paradigms that are coming in. So if you find yourself in this year of intuitive openness, start getting ideas about, what about this? What if I introduce this to the public? I would say, listen. Please listen. Or if you are asked to take a class, maybe in an older modality, and you say, no, it doesn't feel right for me, listen. Things are shifting. And we all have the ability to introduce or to bring new into this lifetime, okay? Our human brain starts to say, well, that's crazy. Nobody's going to do this. Nobody's going to believe this. But I challenge you, or I welcome you to open yourselves up to listen and just pause in that time and listen to what's coming in. Because as I said, the light beings, the shaman, the angels, the ascended masters, even the elementals are coming in. The elementals are the salamanders, the fairies, the mermaids. They're coming in to help us, okay? All right, questions? All right, in 2016 then, we talk about the I am, and it's that inner vibration and really focusing on that. And you're gonna notice some physical changes with yourself. You're gonna notice some things that maybe you aren't able to tolerate, sharp sounds, sharp scents, or certain smells. But pay attention to that inner vibration. We're ramping up again. We're becoming light. So even your choice of colors, does anyone notice that? Your choice of colors or decor in your house, suddenly you might like blue a lot more. There's a lot of blue light coming in. There are higher frequency codes in that. 2016 is also a year about saying no. I could talk for a whole hour about saying no, and that it's not selfish at all. It's really important. And you will find those challenges where people try to get you to do something for them, and your opportunity, please look at it as an opportunity, is to say no. And when you say no, check what your outside words are saying versus your inside vibration. I'll go back to my driving my mom somewhere. My internal vibration is saying no. Make sure that aligns to my external words, okay? More important about aligning your feeling to your words. What's going to happen to us physically as we go into 2016, 2017, if we aren't in alignment, we're going to feel more uncomfortableness in those places. Nobody likes to feel uncomfortable, right? But it's the universe saying, pay attention here. Why are you feeling uncomfortable? Why are you feeling that you can't say no if it conflicts with your inner vibration and what you want? Okay? There's a huge opportunity for us to grow in that space. I talked about the action year, so think about your own life and where maybe you have not taken action, maybe you've not taken steps in the past. And it doesn't have to be that you quit your job, you move, you leave Minnesota this chilly morning. But take steps towards that. So pause, and as you're going through that I am and where's my vibrational frequency, where am I on my journey path, and where do I want to go, and how do I take steps towards that, and how do I use those urgings that I'm getting from the universe to go down that path. And sometimes we have those traumatic events to push us further. So just know that in 2016, if you have some big events, look at them as, okay, might this be one of those events that are pushing me forward on something, okay? All right. I just have to pause for a moment because I'm sensing Archangel Michael, and I want to apologize to him because I didn't introduce him before. But if anyone has felt the heat in the room go up or their own physical body heat go up, has anyone just felt that at all? So Archangel Michael is the bringer of fire, and if we're cold, he says just to bring him in. But he's very present for us. And I love him dearly because he's the one that got me in trouble in second grade when I was talking to him in the halls of grade school. So as I acknowledge him here, I was just in my hometown this week and I was telling that story, and I said I was so, think of a second grader trying to be so convincing to a principal that, no, he's right here. Can't you see him? He's right here, and he's saying this. And so he comes in with heat, and I want to just welcome him here. So if you're feeling that flame or that heat turn up, he's here, and he brings courage to us. And so 2016, some of us might need to invoke his help to bring courage into our lives, or to remove the fear, or to bring that flame into us. So flame, fire, those are all visuals for action. So when I think about stepping forward into action, it's like, I want that fire, I want that ignition. I want to feel it here, and I want to see it moving forward. So Archangel Michael is very present. Okay. He's just kind of moving around here. We talked about your intuitive year. So those of you that are on the path of metaphysical or spiritual, I honestly think we're all on the path. But open up and notice where those opportunities might be placed right in front of you to join groups, or to speak about, or to share about your own experiences. Because we are able to communicate at a higher level. How many of you feel things are going to happen to you or happen in the world before they happen? Yeah, that's going to increase. So when that happens, and when you acknowledge that, please acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, oh, that's what that is. Sometimes people experience something after the fact, and then they say, what am I supposed to do with this information? And it's frustrating for them. Maybe they're not supposed to do anything with it right now. It's maybe a step along their journey that they're just supposed to experience it, okay? Right. Things are going to shift quickly in 2016. Yay, right? We like change slow or not at all, right? Most of us do. Things can shift very quickly. And if you've noticed some of the events that maybe happened to you in 2015, they were quick shifts. Like all of a sudden, wow, I didn't see that coming. That kind of came out of left field, right? There's more of that. And that's to help us move through the fear very quickly. Because sometimes we don't even have a chance to experience fear. If it just happens, we get into what? Action mode. So expect more of that in 2016. 2016, too, is going to be another water year. So think about water. It was a wet year last year. It's going to be more water. But also in the highly intuitive, our emotions are going to be activated. So some of you might already be experiencing more emotion, and which is a good thing. That's, as humans, we try to stuff that, or we try to hide that, or we try to, well, let me just step over here for a moment. Be open with your emotions. That's part of that identifying your feelings. That's part of identifying your vibration. And please celebrate that. If you have tears of sadness or joy, please celebrate that you, as an energetic human being, you vibrate. You have emotions. You have feelings. And why do we hide those, right? Why do we spend time hiding those? Okay. Does anyone have any millenniums in their family? We're noticing the millenniums. Yeah. So the millenniums, we need to pay more attention to them. And as 2016, yeah, that's okay. But if you have questions about the millenniums, I have lots of parents that ask, what do I do about my son or daughter? It's not something we do with them, it's we acknowledge them. And so as the millenniums, and I don't want to label them, but it's a good way to describe that it's a generational, energetic, they have a different frequency than we do. As they progress forward and as we progress forward, we get to look at them as, what are they teaching us? What are they teaching us? Instead of saying, why is he not working? Why is he? I mean, that can be a problem too. But what are they teaching us about life? And that's going to be really important for us because there's some clashes that are coming ahead for us. And we've seen some of those on the news recently. Maybe the approaches to find their voice have been more marches and more vocal. That's not the peace way, but we get to teach them. We get to teach them how to do it a different way. But we get to learn why they're doing these marches, why they're stepping up, and help them. We get to help bridge that gap. For many of us, that's going to be really uncomfortable. We're going to step back and say, I just don't know what to do. And that's too where communities come together, that we can talk as parents or even as millennium groups to, how do we approach these things? How do we approach the same situation in the world and look at it two different ways, but blend how we look at it? Any teachers in the room here? So, teachers, you guys have been experiencing a shift in the energy for a lot of years, and that's going to continue as these higher frequency. There are more high-frequency kids being born now than ever before. They call them star children, star seeds. They're seeding the planet with a higher frequency. Everything's moving upward. And the more we dig in our heels, the harder it is for us. Okay? And we're going to have more opportunities to see where we might be digging in our heels. Right? So when we talk about what's right in the world, let's frame it up this way. Frame it up in, what do I want? What do I want? I want health, I want a good job, I want a healthy family, maybe I want a warm home. Here's what I want. And I focus all my energy on, this is what I want. Every day, every morning when I wake up, I lay in bed and I'm in gratitude, and then I say, this is what I want. This is what is coming into my life. And I state those in all good terms. I don't use the word don't. Okay? The brain doesn't hear don't. So if I say, I don't want a bad job, I'm going to get a bad job because the brain doesn't hear don't. So focus on I want. Focus in the morning, focus at night. This is what I want. Please notice during the day where others might be trying to influence. We talked earlier about we are very absorbent. We're very influenced by external people coming to us and talking to us about the world, talking to us about events. So please notice during the day where you might get into a conversation, lunch conversation, or you're getting coffee, where people are using what's wrong with our world? Talking about the bad things, using the things that they don't want. Step away from that, acknowledge it, don't participate in that. As vibrational frequency, anytime I watch a news story, anytime I look at it on MSN.com, I'm putting my energy into that. If I linger there, okay? So I can step into a conversation or I can look at a news story, but if I step away from it, I'm not putting my energy into it. Does that make sense? All right. The magic of 2016 is you guys are more powerful than you realize. And that's what they're just telling me, is that it's a year to acknowledge your own power. And some of us even get uncomfortable with that word, right? I'm powerful? Who, me? Many of us might be taught to not say those words because it's egocentric or it comes from a place of ego. But come into your own power, your own magical light, your own magical being. That's the space that we're moving into 2016. Okay? Questions? Yes?
I'm just wondering about, there's so many ideas and things that I'm getting. So there's just a lot of different ideas and things I'm getting. Any tips for handling or doing all of these things? Because we're supposed to be taking all this action and I'm feeling like, oh, how am I going to get it all done?
Yeah. So right now we're moving in. We're in this time of Aquarius, and some other planets are pushing us into be incredibly creative. So it's an incredibly creative year. And so it is a time, and if you're downloading information too, and they're giving you all these ideas, it can be difficult to separate what is just an idea and what's an actionable. And I'm going to come back to that too. Many people are also confused with, I have a lot of corporate people coming to me and saying, I'm opening up into my higher consciousness. Does this mean I'm supposed to leave my corporate job and become a healer? So there's confusion too in what do I action on, where do I go to use this, okay? So when you're in this place of a lot of ideas, write them down, and then pay attention to the ones that are repeating in. So if something just swims in your face and you start to see signs external to yourself that you're supposed to act on it. I'm planning a trip west, and I was wavering about whether I was going to go this year just because responsibility is here, but I kept seeing signs for Arizona and the golf course and sun and warm. And I get phone calls, and I have clients calling me from Arizona. So it's like that's the universe giving me an indication that I need to act on that, and it's not to go to Florida. So pay attention to those signs. And if you feel like you're not getting signs, ask for the signs. That's a great, before you go to bed, practice, and when you get up in the morning. We are the most balanced when we wake up in the morning. When we go to bed at night, sometimes anyone have a hard time falling asleep at night? We might be vibrating just higher than your normal state. That's why a practice before bed about just being in gratitude for the day's events gets you into your normal state so that your vibrational, energetic body doesn't have to work so hard when you go into a sleep state to balance out. So, but in the morning, also jot down your notes. Jot down what's coming to you because you are at the most pristine energy at that time. Yes?
I don't feel balanced when I wake up.
You don't
I feel like I
that?
have to bring myself into balance.
Interesting. So are you doing nighttime work or are you doing time
I
traveling?
do. Before I go to bed, I do. And then I usually do when I wake up. That's when I try to bring myself in balance.
So thank you for sharing that. So what I would say to that then is find your time. Find your time. Most people, their vibration, because they jump out of bed and they're running for the day, and then they're running all day. Unless they have a practice time, whether it's a yoga class or meditation class or just quiet time. Sometimes even on my drive somewhere, I shut off all electronics and I just drive. So find your place because we all have different ways of obtaining information from the universe. Yes?
I just would want to share that I went through a whole period this winter earlier of like not being able to get to sleep and not being able to stay asleep. And I will share the secret. Stop making yourself wrong. Because I kept saying, oh, there's something wrong that I'm not. And once I got to the place where I said, I'm being given this time for, and I'll just rest. And I would just lay in bed and be there instead of trying to figure out why I'm not sleeping and all the things I could do to make myself sleep. I'm a lot nicer to be around now.
Well, and I think a lot of sleeplessness came from the shift of the planet energy to 528. I mean, it's like living in a room where the light bulb is 60 watts, and all of a sudden it got ramped up to 300 watts. It's that shock. It's not going from 60 to 75. It's like exponentially. And so that's what a lot of our bodies went through at that time. We're trying to adjust to that light. And if we had practices such as yoga, tapping, meditation, then it flowed a little bit more. Or if we were absorbing more, then we were able to bring it in a little bit more. Okay. Good questions. Other questions?
So I wonder, Laurie, a lot of times I think, at least I can, for myself, when there's things that, are super broken, it's kind of easier to go, okay, I got to focus on that, I got to work on that. And then as it evolves, I think as humans, it's almost easier to say, okay, I got to do something because this is really broken. But as we evolve and things start realigning and there's more comfort, then it almost feels like, okay, should I be content? Where do I go from here? Because we're so linear and we're so goal-oriented. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm even asking.
Yeah. So we're never done.
Yeah.
We're never done. So even when we get to places of peace or we think we have it figured out, we're just in a pause place, right? But along that journey, you've added tools to your tool belt. So the next time you have one of those events, you can pull out that tool or you can add more tools to your tool belt. Everything that we experience, all the people that we interact with, are cause or they create the event for us to evolve further. Every single person. All of you will walk out of here today slightly different in your frequency, in your vibration, because of the interaction you had just sitting here as a group in this energy. So we're all evolving. Yes?
So as we were talking about the energies and what she's asking about, for most of my life, I've had a lot of allergies, and I felt like I used to describe myself as being on a roller coaster. And you know how the roller coasters go and they run around and it's crazy, crazy, crazy. And then you get to the platform and it stops for a minute. And I'd be like, oh good, I get to get off. I think I'm done. I think I've healed this. I'm gonna walk off of here and it's gonna be like I'm walking, you know, it's gonna be normal, but it doesn't. All of a sudden then the roller coaster starts up again. I'm like, oh, I'm still on the roller coaster. That's how my life has been. And a lot of times it's been like, I've been on a wrestling mat where sometimes it just gets smashed to the ground and I'm like, okay, you got to the count of 10, but you do have to get up before they count to 10, you know, get up at 8, you know, you can lay here for a little while, but then get up and keep, so I have tenacity and persistence. But now the thing of it is, so I've been doing this spiritual work for 7 years, and it doesn't feel that way anymore. Yeah. Now it feels, instead of a roller coaster, it feels more like I'm floating down a river. Yeah. And it feels like sometimes there's little tiny rapids, but there really aren't any big rapids anymore. Yeah. So I'm really in the flow. And then when it pauses and it switches, then instead of this wrestling match, it's this dancing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm with other people, and I'm like, there's a little bit of swirling going around, and there's this communicating, and there's this, we're sharing this heart space and this love, and then we separate, and I get another dance partner, you know, and I get to look around. And so my life, because I've gone to the fifth dimension, is just a whole new experience of, it's still moving and swirling, but it's all this peaceful flow of
It is. It's that evolution. It's, you have those tools that you know you can identify, this is where I am in this process. And the roller coaster, the dips aren't as high, or the peaks aren't as high. We don't crash so hard. If we don't learn that, though, those crashes can be harder. And I would say, as you evolve and as you experience those things, how do you think about that? So over time, you probably thought different about the experience. You changed your feeling about an allergy, in your words about the allergy, and then that begins to shift. We manifest those things. It's, how do I feel about this moment? This moment, I'm creating my future. This very moment.
Oh, and one thing I learned was about the tapping. So now, as soon as an allergic reaction starts, I catch it within moments or minutes, and I start tapping on it, and then I can get rid of it within, you know, within a couple like it's gone, because I don't have to wait till I've crashed and have had to like spend days recovering. It's minutes of recovering it. Tapping is just the best tool in the whole world.
We have another question back there. So as you're going back there, so also in 2016, we're creating karma. I want to make sure that I do mention karma, that we are creating our future right now. The planets are helping us create that karma. We're creating good karma, bad karma. We're creating that as we go forward. So think about how you're approaching or how you're stepping out into the world every day. Okay, question?
You had spoke about stepping into our personal power this
Yeah.
year. What are some of the ways, just maybe some methods that that you know work to integrate that power and to accept it? I think one of the things that I notice is my resistance to it, and that's usually a cue. So if you have some suggestions or some methods that work, you know, in terms of accepting and then integrating that power and really embodying it, if you could share those, that'd be great.
Yep, absolutely. So first of all, I want to commend you for acknowledging you see the resistance. Because once you see I'm resisting this, you have the power to move that aside. So that's really powerful in itself. One of the reasons that we went through so much of our throat chakra last year and a little bit into this year is to find our voice. So as that internal acknowledgement of who I am and that vibration, that gets to come out. So it's finding your voice. And so you'll notice, like, if I have a sore throat or if I feel like I'm kind of dry in my throat, that's a body indication that that needs to open up a little bit. So notice the physical presence that you're feeling when you try or when you go to step into your power. Using your voice. I'm getting for you, it's like there's using your voice, calling in help, whether it's, and I think that's probably why Archangel Michael's come in for all of us, that courage, removing the fear, to find that voice, find that power, that internal flame, and let that come out. Again, I want to say we are magnificent energy bodies. We're magnificent. And we spend so much time pushing ourselves down and telling ourselves that we're bad. We're magnificent. And that gets to come out. So please share that out in the world. Okay? The other thing that they're saying is to make sure you surround yourself with people that can support you. Right now, you don't have people that support you in your vision. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's what your guide is saying, is like you need to get some other helpers and or to surround yourself. So in 2016, as we talked earlier about community and about raising your own frequency and then stepping into a community that supports us, the planets that are ruling in 2016 are all about kinship and community. So it's really important that we do it as community. We still have to be individuals in a community. Okay? So it is the directing I want. I want this. I'm allowing support to come into my life. I'm seeking this. I'm focusing all my energy here. I'm not talking about what I don't have. I'm not talking about, well, that person just brought me down. I'm not even going there. Direct all your energy to what you want, because that's a higher frequency. Even our words carry frequency. Yes? Yeah.
Like if you're walking through a forest and instead of I wanted to go this way, I have to get to that spot.
Yep.
It's
I
unknown how you're going to get there. So instead of I want, even in this one day, I expect to be shown something wonderful and magical that's going to bring this in.
Yeah.
It might just be a little thing, but
Yeah.
I'm expecting it, so I recognize it.
I love that word. Some people are uncomfortable with that, and so the I want is gentler, but I love the I expect. I expect it to be a beautiful sunshine day. I don't care about the cold. It's sunny out. Okay, yes.
You mentioned a little bit about colors
Yeah.
and the chakras. Through this next few months of our transition, are there any colors that you would recommend to help us being surrounded by? I know everybody's different, but or just general chakras to focus our attention on to help through the transition part, because I really do feel huge transition in my own life.
So they're going to be different for every person. What I'm getting with you is to make sure that you ground yourself. So earth colors would also be very good. Red is the base chakra, to ground yourself as you are working in the higher, which are white or violet, the colors in these chakras. And we have more than 7 chakras. We're moving into these chakras up here. So, okay.
I have a question related to finding community and also acknowledging your own power. I have a peculiar problem. I'm multicultural and multi-faith. So actually, I'm going crazy trying to decide, am I supposed to spend more time with the Native Americans, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the whatever, the voodoo? I have all those choices. I can go join those communities. How do I find out where I'm really supposed to be? How, all of those are meaningful communities, but the problem is there's a time limit. You can't spend hours and hours and hours doing everything with all of them. So how do you choose that?
Yep. So a couple things, much like Kim said, how do I choose in all these things? It's where is your heart vibration? Where do you feel the best? So, and go, when my kids were little, I made them try like all the sports so that they could figure out what kind of sport they liked. So it's kind of like that. It's like, where do you feel that you belong? So that comes back to center. The other thing is, I truly believe we have infinite time. I truly believe that when we say, I don't have enough time, we are putting those constraints on ourselves. Granted, we live in a 24-hour day, but I'm not going to go into that mode. I'm going to follow my vibration, and I'm going to say, if I feel in all those places, then I'm going to expect the universe to allow it to happen. So, does that help? Yeah. Really, it comes back to feeling. Where do I feel? And so many of us, do you remember the max headroom, the guy that just was like this? Oftentimes that's where we are, is we're thinking all here, and the 528 hertz is in our heart. So come back to my heart. What do I feel here? Okay? And I think I'm watching, Gary's giving me the thumbs up on time. We're changing our community in this circle. And it's a reminder that as we step outside Lake Harriet today, we're changing our community. We've changed ourselves. We've changed the light. And I want you to take a moment and close your eyes and imagine this brilliant flame that's in the center of your chest. And you can pick a color. It can be red or white or blue. Take a moment and watch that flame expand. Watch that flame go out into the center of the room. In your mind's eye, watch it grow with everyone else's flame as it moves upward, upward, upward. You all make a difference in the world. Every action, every breath you take makes a difference in the world. You are beautiful. You are perfect. You are acknowledged in the light that you bring to this planet and that you share each and every day. Go forward and shine your light. Yay! Woo!